Hey there guys, how's it going? I'm AwesomeAlex99 and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be ranking all 23 of the Spirit Halloween animatronics for this year. So I'm not sure if there is going to be any more Spirit Halloween animatronics. I don't think so. There might be some in-store only ones like we saw last year, but I'm just ranking the ones that we have seen up to this point, which is a total of 23, so there's quite a few, and I have the list right on here in order of my least favorite to my most favorite. And yeah, we're just going to be talking about them. So I guess let's get started. So at number 23 on my list, we have Experiment 4. Now, I wouldn't say that Spirit Halloween has any bad animatronics for this year. I think that they're all good. They're all amazing. But this one is at the least favorite part of my list, just because it seems kind of overpriced for what it does. So basically, it's kind of like this little tiny box that has this hand that pops out of it. And the box also lights up, but that's really all it does. And this is $100 American, and in Canadian, that's about $125. So it is quite a lot of money for this thing. For all it does is just has that pop-out mechanism and lights up. I still think it's a cool idea. It looks cool, and I just feel like it could have had more for the price that it has, but it's still a cool one for this year. Okay, so next up on my list, at number 22, is Ghostface. I still think he's a pretty cool one, but there's just some stuff that I dislike about him. So to start off, it's basically just a reskin of the Hauntress, and it just kind of looks cheap, this one. Now, the Hauntress looks cool, has lots of detail on it, and looks awesome, but this one just looks like it's a cheap Ghostface costume on the Hauntress mechanism, so I don't really think I like that too much. Like, I guess they were just trying to make it a Ghostface looking guy, but I don't know, they could have done way better, and I just don't think it's really worth it to get this one. I'd say if you want to get either this or the Hauntress, get the Hauntress, because I don't really like the Ghostface. It's just a reskin. Hauntress is definitely way better than this one. But I'd still like the mechanism on him. He's still pretty cool and awesome job they did on him, but just I don't really like the look of him that much. And number 21, this is an online-only one, but it's the Gravegram Corpse. Now, starting about last year, they did, like, remakes of props, like they did Uncle Charlie, they did that zombie guy, and I think there's some sort of other one, too. And this year, of course, they do have some, too, and the Gravegram Corpse is one of them. I don't know why Spirit would make this return. I don't think anyone, honestly, wanted this to return. So, very weird thing that they did. Like, the new one, I don't think it's the coolest. Like, it's still a good price, but it's an online only, so it's a bit harder to get than just going to a store and getting it. But I don't think it's really worth it to get this. Like, it's not really a good return. They should have picked a different animatronic to have return in this year. And number 20 on my list is the Pennywise. So this guy, I didn't think I'd put him this far back on my list, but I just kind of have to, just because there's some stuff I don't like about him. He's still cool, I'd say. Like, he'd be one that I would probably get, maybe, if they had him for 50% off or something on November 1st or something like that. But the main reason why I don't like him is he seems a bit overpriced. He's small. I really like the jump scare with him, though. How he just, like, pops out of this sewer drain. That's kind of nice, but I just really dislike just that they made him so small. Like, Pennywise is supposed to be like this big life-size character, but they really did it very small. I think the Techie Toys, like, this kind of version of this is a bit better that they had at Halloween City and Party City back in 2019. I think that was way better. than this one that we get from Spirit. It was cheaper, it looked cooler, it was bigger. This one, just small, and you can basically get props like Whack-A-Mole for the same price as this, which is kind of crazy. But I just don't think it's worth it to get it. And coming in at number 19 on my list is, he's a cool one. He's the first one we saw this season. It's Barry. Now, we've seen stuff like this before from SVI. Like, we've seen the girl in the cage, the clown in the cage, the props hole in the cage and stuff. We've seen multiple versions of this before. So this is basically a reskin, I guess. But it is going to be Salt Spear Halloween, so it's nice. I like how it looks. It's kind of like a zombie ghoul type guy, but not one I would get. And number 18 on my list is the Baphomet. So I like this guy, but the reason why he's at number 18 is he's not one that I would buy, not one I really like that much. Like, he's kind of like this, like, demon or something, I think. Like, just kind of like that type of theme. He seems a bit overpriced with $300. That seems like a bit much for him. But he's still pretty cool, I'd say. And he looks cool, just not something I would get. And number 17 on my list is Evelyn Leech. So this is a cool one. Now, it's kind of like this bride character holding her kind of like husband's head. And I think it is a cool one that we got for this. And it has pretty good price, so if you're on a budget, this would be a great one to get this year, I would say, because it's a pretty great price. And the head looks cool that she's holding. I like the look of it. Look on her face, that looks cool. It's a pretty creepy one. And this is definitely a great one for this year, and I'd recommend buying it if you're on a budget. And I can't wait to see this one in person when they do get it at my store. Okay, so next up we have Ophelia. I'm not fully sure how you pronounce it, but this is a cool one for this year, I'd say. And it's a pretty good one. And definitely one that I would say you should get, of course, if you're on a budget, or if you really like this one, because this is a pretty cool one. Now, of course, there's kind of like this guy behind, like a Grim Reaper type character, I guess. It's supposed to be, maybe supposed to be something else. I'm not fully sure, but it looks like a pretty cool one. And yeah, I like how the eyes move, and the little girl looks very good. They did a great job making this one, and it's definitely a cool one. And definitely one I would get if I wanted it. I'm not sure if I would get it, but this would be one I would consider maybe getting, because it's a pretty cool one. And next up is Harriet Hustle. This one goes with Henry Hustle a bit. Like, you don't have to buy both of them, but they kind of go together a bit. Like, yeah, I think Harriet Hustle is the daughter of Henry Hustle or something like that. But this one is a pretty cool one, I'd say. And yeah, it's like a clown, and it's kind of like a swinging or hanging type prop. I really like it. They did a great job on this one. Pretty good price, too, at $180 American. And I think it was about, like, $230 Canadian. So, it is not bad. It's a pretty good price for this one, for what it does. It's roughly 4.5 feet tall. It swings, has a knife in her mouth, her head turns from side to side. This is one I like. And one you should definitely get if you like it. And this would be one that I would maybe get. Now, I have usually a budget for Halloween, so I can only get a certain amount of stuff. But this is a cool one. And yeah, I like this one. And number 14, this is one that I really think they did a good job on. It is the Wraith. This one I honestly like a lot. And quite a few people said they didn't like this one, but it's definitely one that I would say is an incredible one for this year. So, it's like this ghost character. It has lights all over it, and has that kind of like movement, which is kind of like a ghost a bit. I like how it is. They did an amazing job on this one. It is so cool. Definitely one I like. And I don't think it would be one I would get unless it would be on like 50% off or some sort of discount, but it is a cool one. I like it, and it's pretty awesome. Gotta say that. It's awesome. And number 13 is Shorty. This is another licensed one. I've never seen the movie that he was in. It was Killer Clowns from Outer Space, I believe. But the animatronic itself is awesome. It's like so incredible how it is. Has that like kind of like weird motion. I don't know how you describe it. The audio is nice for him, and he's just a smaller one, like the title for him says. But he is pretty cool still. I like this guy. And definitely one that I would say is one that maybe I'd think about getting. Now, he's a licensed prop. I don't usually like getting licensed props and stuff, but this is a cool one. I like this licensed one. Next up at number 12 is the Bloody Bag of Jokes. This guy, we haven't seen basically a video of him yet, currently at the time I'm recording this, but we basically know what he's doing because he's a returning guy. And he's another one from, it's either 2010 or so. I forget the year he came out. I'm not too sure. But now we have him returning. And from the photos we've seen, he looks good. I wish they had him in store. So sad that he's online only. But yeah, I would have really liked it if they had him in store so we could see him in person. So this guy I wouldn't get just because he's online only. But he still looks cool, and I like it. It's great. And at number 11, I have Buzzsaw on my list here. I really love the Buzzsaw character. He is awesome. And he's basically like this big, massive one. And he has a buzzsaw, he has a hammer, like, for his hands, basically. I love how he has that. His head looks cool, and he's a great, unique idea. I think SVI did an incredible job on this one. And it's one that I really love, and one that maybe I would think about getting. And I basically think they have lots of props on this list that I'd maybe get them, but this is definitely a great one. And now we're getting into the top 10, so these are the ones that I think are the best of the best. They're like the best ones of the year. And in the number 10 spot is the Headless Jack. So, I'm just going to say something that I feel is kind of weird with this. But it's the price. This guy is the same price as Buzzsaw and Grim, which is a bit weird that he's that much. But he is tall, so I believe it was 9 feet, something like that, maybe 8 feet, or something like that. So he can be pretty tall. And he had adjustable height, so I think he could also be 7 feet, or, of course, like the 9 or 10 feet, whatever it was. And he looks cool. I love the huge pumpkin head. I think they could have added more on this guy. He's made by Techie. Techie did a great job on this. Techie has some great stuff, and this is a great one for this year. I like it. I would really like to see this one in person, though, just see how tall it is and stuff, but for what I've seen from photos and videos I've seen on YouTube, it looks like a great one for this season. And number 9, this is one that I really liked when it first came out. He looks so incredible. We have Night Stalker. Now, Night Stalker, he is cool, and of course he shakes his head around stuff. I like that, and his head looks cool, and Spirit Halloween did a great job on this. Yeah, I'm so glad that they have it. And I can't wait to see this guy in person, because, like, he looks so cool online, but maybe in person he'll look a bit different. I don't know, but he's definitely one I can't wait to see. And number 8, we've got the Caretaker. So this guy is another graveyard type prop we have, and I believe it's made by SVI. And this one's a cool one. It's kind of like this Grim Reaper type character or something like that. And he's holding a shovel and stuff and talks. This is a cool one. Definitely a great one to add to if you have a graveyard theme. And definitely one that I'd say you have to get if you have like a big graveyard theme for your haunt, because he would just add so much to that. And number 7. This one is online only, but they had a few of him at the flagship store that a few people picked up. So we do have videos of this guy, which is great. And he looks cool. He is one which I'd say that's why I did a great job on this. So it's kind of sad that this year they didn't have as many clowns as usual from SVI at like Morris Costumes and lots of other stores. They don't have really much clowns this year. And Spirit Halloween, of course, has a few, but it's sad that we don't have as many clowns as we did in the past few years. But this one is basically the big SVI clown for this year. He has 2 massive heads. He's holding this little girl in an ice cream cone. And it is just cool. It's massive, too. It's 7 feet tall. This one I love, definitely. I wouldn't get it, though, because it's online only. But if he does appear in stores, you have to get this. It is the perfect addition to your collection if you have like a bunch of clown props. He's definitely one that you need for your collection. Number 6 is another great one. We have Grimm here on the list. And now at first I thought like he definitely wasn't worth the $280 for this guy, because he just seemed like a regular skeleton with just some motors in him. But when you look at this, he has servo motors, which are like different type of motors in him that are like more powerful and stuff and can do way more. So that's something cool that they did with this, and something that we need to see way more from Spirit, because it's so cool. Now his head is cool, it looks awesome, and he has those special little eyes that kind of like move around and stuff and look around. His arm moves and everything. He is incredible, and he does seem a bit expensive, but definitely worth it, I would say, because this is an incredible one. And now we get to the top 5. These are my most favorite ones of the year so far. Now, of course, my opinions will change probably when I see some of these in store. Like, last year, I put Peekaboo Clown at number 8, but then he's probably now my like number 2 or number 3 from last year, maybe even number 1. So these may change, but that's what it is for right now from what I've seen online. At number 5, we have Beetlejuice. This we've been waiting years to get. I believe it was maybe like 2018 or 2019 when they were first going to release him, but then they didn't. And last year they almost released him, but then they canceled it. But this year they finally released it, which I'm so glad about because he is incredible. He sits on this tombstone and his head turns from side to side, basically, his mouth movement. And he says lines from the movie, so he's a great one. Now, I don't know if I would get it just because I don't really like getting licensed characters, but he would go great in Graveyard theme. And if you like collecting animatronics from horror movies, this you need to get just because there's only one other Beetlejuice I know of, and it's just not the best. But this one you have to get if you like collecting horror movie related props. Number 4, we have Mr. Howell. Now, he has 300, so his price is a bit high, but it's definitely worth it for what he does. So he's 6 feet tall, and he has a mouth movement, and he moves kind of like up a bit. And his head is incredible. Like, it's just so awesome. And it's massive, looks cool, and definitely a great part about him. And his massive feet, massive hands. He's just a massive werewolf. And definitely one of the best werewolves we have ever seen, I'd say. And definitely a cool one. But yeah, this is an incredible one. This is one that is definitely a great one. And now, number 3, we got Wacky. Now, he is returning for this year, and he's basically just like the original, which is perfect. He has side-to-side movement, and he has the wacky look to him, like just like before. And yeah, this guy is awesome. Definitely one you should get. Now, this one I might get this year. I'm still deciding which props to get, but this guy I may get this year. So that's cool. But this guy's definitely a great one. His price is good, I'd say. And yeah, he's an awesome one. Glad he's returning. Number 2, we have Henry Hustle. Now, Henry Hustle's a cool one. It's this kind of like vintage-looking clown guy. And that pops up to reveal this creepy-looking face, which is very cool. This is something we haven't seen before, and it's pretty awesome. I thought this was made by SVI at first, but it's actually made by Crazy Create. So I think they did a pretty good job on this. He's definitely a great one. Definitely deserves the number 2 spot. And this is one I might be getting this year too, just because it's so cool. But I definitely love Henry Hustle. He is great. And now, the number 1 spot is the animatronic that I think is the best one for this year. We have Mr. Dark. I know this is lots of other people's favorites, and definitely my favorite at the moment. Now, at first, I didn't love it the most. It just kind of looked like didn't have too much detail, like the eyes lit up. Just looked like a Grim Reaper type prop. Like, his clothing is just completely black, doesn't have like any creepy cloth or just anything special on it. But the mechanism for this guy definitely makes up for all that missing detail on him. Just how he pops up, he's massive. He starts at right around 4 feet tall and pops up to almost 9 feet tall. He's massive and one that I love this year. And I'm thinking about possibly getting this guy, so you might see him on the channel eventually. Can't wait to see him in person when they do get him in stores in September. But this is definitely one that deserves the number 1 spot. And yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And please subscribe. I am almost at 400, or when you're seeing this, I'm probably over 400. But yeah, make sure you subscribe and like the video. Comment down below what you would put as your number 1 for this list. And yeah, that's it for today's video. See you guys on the next video. Goodbye.